Welcome back to the third phase or third step of the installation, the usage videos or EquiPop flow. In this third episode, we'll look into how to run EquiPop. In fact, it's not going to be one video, it's going to be 3 videos in total. And this video is going to focus on how to log in and also make a quite ordinary analysis. In the following second videos, we will first look into a more complex version of EquiPop runs, and finally also looking into how it could be used in third-party softwares. Right. After installation, in most of the cases, unless you have got other kinds of softwares working on the local host, you open your favorite browser, could be anyone, and you write localhost. Localhost, and just clicking it like this, an enter key, will bring you to this kind of a page. If this is the first time, this is what you will see, and you should click on registering to get yourself into logging in and giving a name and email and so forth. If you've done it before, just click login or this login up in the right corner to actually start using the software. In this case, I'm looking for the registration. Since it recognizes my former login, it sees that I've got an email account. You can write any kind of email that you like. It is not really, it's being used to tell you apart from others using the same computer, if that's the case. If you're the only one using your computer, it is just going to be your name and nothing else. Then you can add a name. I've added myself as being John, and I've got the repetition of my own, I've got my passwords, and before I can write anything I'll have to click with register. Since I've already registered, I'm not going to do it, but if you click the register here, it's going to work well. So I'm moving back and I'm clicking on logging in, and it remembers my password, so in this case this one and this one. So I click here on the login and I come to a page looking a bit like this. You've got a few menus over here. Project, if you click it, will always take you back to this site. About will take you to the page telling you a little bit about the development of the material, but also the company that helped me develop the more sort of graphical unit interface and make my algorithm work in a computational kind of context. You can also look for your profile, information about these kinds of things, depending on what kind of administrative level you've got. This is something you have to consult when it comes to the manual for the installation, the Adobe file. But you could set a few things here and also looking for the files you've been using and so forth. You can also log out, of course. In order to start, you click the Start tool. This is what happens. You should select Files and Settings. And the first thing, of course, in the basic one is to select a file that contains the 5 variables that you learned about in the previous video. In this case, it is the pop14 new variable. Could be, of course, the name varies between your analysis and stuff, but I'm going to click OK. And if I know the rectification unit, I can enter it here. It will save me a fraction of the time, but sometimes it could be useful. Sometimes, perhaps it's necessary. But you don't need to. So I'm just going to show that it's not needed and click next. On the next level, I've got the predefined variable functions, the ID, the east, west, north, south, count all and count subgroups. Please refer to the Excel document in the previous video to understand what this means. And I have to choose the tab separated variables within that file, which ones correspond to what. So in this case, Bosams is an area definition in Sweden, so I will use that as an ID. The Ost or Öst means east, so I'm going to choose that for east, west, and Bo North would be the north one. Count all is count all, of course, and then I've got a few to choose between. I can either use the poor European unions, individuals, rich European Union, working individuals, or visible minority. I'll go in this case for rich European Union. And this means that I've got all individuals at the location, and in this case I've got the ones being designated as being rich individuals. I click next, and in this case I can choose the reporting intervals. I can choose in this case to have, well, 25 nearest neighbors from any location, 50, 100, 200, and why not take 1,000 just because we can. We can of course also include, we can toggle and see, we can take away the distances, include count all, count group and ratio and so forth, because the calculation will produce a lot of material that we will look at later. We can also have a decay mode if you want to discount the more distant ones, but this is going to be shown in the next video. So in this video we are simply going for the very simple one that will produce us the share of subgroup over the full population for the 25 nearest neighbors, which is the K25, K50, 100, 200 and 1000. So if I click on run analysis, it will do the analysis, and in this case it will be on approximately 45,000 individuals, and it takes no longer than the time that I'm actually telling you at this very moment. So now it's ready, and I'm clicking on the video, the link that is being constructed when the EquiPop flow computation is over. I can click cancel if I don't want to wait, or if something has gone wrong or something is suspected to be malfunctioning. But if I click this one, it automatically uses the built-in server in the Windows computer to take it away from the local host graphical unit interface of the internet program, the web browser, into your system. But please take a note, it's not, no internet is being integrated, so it never, any of the analysis and none of the field is actually leaving your computer. If you click here and go for Visa in map, you see where the material has been created. Since I tried this before, the same name turns up again, but I can of course right click and choose to extract it to find it here, or just double click it to open it. If we go for metadata, because two files are produced, we could see the information about the material being crustated. It says the original file name, the number of lines, which is the number of coordinate points actually in the analysis, 45,000. The rectification unit, even though we didn't specify one, realized it was 100 meters between the units, or the midpoints. The K values are the ones designated, and we can see 0, 1, 2, 3, and 5 are the ones in the original 5. So this meant that the files that we included from the POP 14 new ones were in the first column, it's the first, which is the second, which is 1, the third, which is 2, the third, which is 4, and the 5, the 6th column. And it says something about the other kinds of variables. It includes distance, and it has 2 decimals and so forth, and it doesn't have a decay parameter. So all the basics of what the choices we made when we made the calculations are included. So, and if we look for this material, if I double click this one, it will take a little time, not that much in fact. I see the EID is being produced, the east-west variables is in this row, the north-south, the number of original individuals living at the location, the number of wealthy individuals living in the same locations, and when we were looking for 1,000 in this case, well, let's see if I can move it here instead. It says something about the number of the total number of individuals being used to find 1,000 nearest. It was actually in this case 1,013, and out of these 1,013, 311 were perceived as being wealthy. That constructs this kind of a share, and the distance needed from that location was 5,420 meters to actually reach 1,013 individuals. Then it repeats the same kind of material for the various groups. This is the 25 nearest, this is where we're using the 50 nearest, and so forth, and we can move on and scroll to the right and see that there's actually a series of variables producing all these kinds of things. The fact that the labels on top are not directly on top of the columns has got to do with the tab format. So there's one tab between all of these, and that also corresponds to the values. But in fact, say is that the data relatively quickly processed 40,000+ individuals and the locations in the Stockholm area, and it's already done, and you've got the share of wealthy individuals for every single inhabited position, but also the distance needed to reach there. In the second video we'll look for some more settings also when it comes to decay, and in addition also by implying or using the network function. But that will be for the next part of this part 3 video. So thank you and welcome to the next video.